So the focus from there on was to try to get the the Tahrir, as well as all the other boats that were stuck in Greece, out of Greece before we could do any other step as a flotilla. The captain of the Tahrir, George, who is a fantastic captain, he's the one who sailed with us again in November. His T-shirt had these lines on it: "A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for." And one more time, Sandra proved an excellent organizer, and she was the one managed to, the first boat, and till very recently the only boat that managed to get out of Greece was the Tahrir. And we took the Tahrir out of Greece to an undisclosed location, and the decision was made at that point: if we want to sail, we have a balance between the strong PR, media, and public work and being able to sail. It was very important in the months that followed that we had this discussion to the fullest and decided that each has its merits, and the public relations, public awareness, political pressure campaign that we had in the months of April, May, June would not be had if we tried to leave quietly. But on the other hand, to show Israel that it cannot outsource the blockade and that boats can still sail, and to show the people of Gaza that the international community will still try and try till they succeed, was as important as the former. And thus, the decision was taken: we're going to try again, and we're going to try in a different way this time. We worked with the Irish, who their boat was already in Turkey and was repaired by that time, and we got to a decision that we are going to leave in the last week of October, first week of November, that we're not going to do any public work, that we're not going to talk about this in emails or by phone. We're going to restrict our conversations to Skype, and we are going to try not even to, we didn't even tell the people that were going to go on the boat any details. So we didn't do, again, a public call out who's interested, but we contacted mostly the people that were already on the Tahrir. We contacted our American friends and told them, would you like to have some American people on our boat, because we are sailing? And they said, yes, and we'll contribute financially. And we said, we don't need your financial contribution. These are true stories, by the way. I mean, I'm making them sound larger than life, but they are true stories. We wanted the Tahrir at that point not to be a Canadian boat, and not only to be an ABCDG boat, as we called it, because it's Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, and Germany. We wanted it to be broader than that. We wanted to have the impact. The Irish boat was going to be Irish. They had already, it's a small boat, they had 12 committed Irish people, and they will not have anybody from the outside. We also, even the media we worked with, we contacted the media. We contacted Al Jazeera, we contacted Press TV, we contacted Pravda, we contacted Amira Haas from Haaretz. We contacted the people that we knew and told them this is a totally secret plan. If you are ready to do that, even your editors should not know the details, then you're welcome. If you cannot, tell us from now and we'll move on. We had 30 people and about 10 journalists confirmed. We told them, go to Istanbul and wait for a phone call. Again, it's not an exaggeration. And people did it with confidence. They bought their tickets to Istanbul and went there without knowing where the boat is. I am one of the organizers. Only Jace and Sandra, and Jace and Sandra were on the boat at that point. I didn't know where the boat was. I personally knew a little bit more than Istanbul, but I didn't know where exactly the boat was. So we reached Turkey I personally passed by Dublin for a few days to again tie the loose ends with our Irish partners and make sure that we are on the same wavelength in everything, and then travel to Turkey, to Dalaman. Everybody started arriving from that point on, and there we were, confirmed that all the delegates are there. This is the new slogan, logo we created for the Freedom Waves, as a wave that came out of the flotilla. It's a wave that may be followed and hopefully will be followed by other waves challenging the blockade, and the Tahrir and the Sirsha logos were on it. The Tahrir was ready. People were told to go to the boats were in Fethiya at that point. The people were told to go to Gochek, which is a close by port city, and wait for the final instructions. And unfortunately, at that point, the Turkish authorities, we believe, had wind of what we were doing, but nothing official and nothing in the open. Everything was, as far as we're concerned, this is a private cruise that is going to go from Turkey to Rhodes, and it's a group of friends that are traveling together. Whether they believe it or not, that's another story. The medical supplies that we had, we tried to get them on the boat from the back door of the port, literally. And as soon as they got on the boat, Sandra went and erased all what was written on them and stuck on them baked beans, broccoli. So that if an inspector from the Coast Guard comes in and inspects the boat, again, they have less and less reason to believe that this is a political action. Yet we do believe that somebody had wind of what was happening. And we need to look very, very closely at the relationship between the love-hate relationship between Turkey and Israel. And we need to understand the political maneuvering that the current Turkish government is doing between the Arab world, the Muslim world, and its relationship with NATO and Europe. So I personally don't take anything at face value or take it oversimplified. So there is something there that made Turkey insist to apply the strictest rules possible on the boats, and insist that since these are private boats, they have the right, according to their maritime code, to limit the number of passengers to 12. And this was a huge blow. This was a huge blow, having 37, 36 people and 10 journalists who had come from different places around the world, trusting you without asking questions that they're going to get on the boat, and at the end of the day, you tell them, sorry, we'll have to cut down the numbers. Taking all that into consideration and taking into account and not forgetting that we had a very difficult night when we gathered everybody for a meeting where Irene was there, Jace was there, David Heap, myself, Karen was there. It was John was there as well. Who else from this room was there? It was an extremely difficult evening, an extremely difficult meeting, to the extent that and what added its complexity as well is that the hotel where we're having the meeting in, the staff started panicking, what's going on here, what's happening, and we wanted to still keep things separate, secret, so we took it to the woods outside the hotel, and we tried to continue the meeting on torchlight, and people started to get agitated, and other people started to cool them down, and at the end of the day, most said, and don't forget, there were Belgians as well. There was one Australian, sorry, not Belgians. There were Danish and one Australian and one German. So journalists from Al Jazeera, both Arabic and English, from Press TV, from Democracy Now, from the Lebanese paper, from an Egyptian newspaper. It was very difficult. How could we choose 12 people from among all those people? And at the end of the evening, everybody said, well, the only solution is for the steering committee to decide who is going to go. And I personally consider that one of the most difficult, like, few hours in my life, because we knew that some of us as steering committee have to be on the boat because of the organizational issues, because of the preparation, because of the contact with the captain, all stuff like that. So there goes 2 or 3 spots already. The newspaper teams were easier. We said every team of 2 will have to send one who will act as both cameraman and reporter. And the 2 written papers, we told them, why don't you coordinate together and send one, and you can file reports to both papers. And then it came to that we need to choose 3 people or 4 out of about 30. And one would never know if the decision that was taken was the best or not. We had lots of discussions and lots of debates, and at the end we allocated 1 Canadian, 1 American. The Danish said, if we don't go all, nobody's going. So they made it easy in a way. And they had 1 person on the steering committee as well, so that made it, they took their own decision. So the 4 spots were divided by nationality as such. And late in the afternoon of November 2nd, we filed the papers that we're going to Rhodes. We gave them their passports. We got our passports back, stamped, and the Tahrir moved. As it was moving out of the port, here is a picture of Sandra and John from Denmark, Annette from Denmark, Santiago from Canada, Jace, and I'm not sure who that is. I think she's Danish as well. Seeing the boat leave. That's the first time in this coming slide that me and David unfurled the banner that is the Freedom Waves to Gaza, as the boat was already moving out. And we still told the journalists that came on board, we're still in information blackout till we reach international waters. Not one word about our destination. And we head from Fitya to Rhodes, and when we got into international waters, we switched our course and we headed to Gaza. Now it was the challenge, will the Tahrir be able to cross the Mediterranean? Did we have, I mean, I don't know how many people were thinking about that. I personally was. We had a captain who had no crew. Literally, Michael and I need help here. Majd Kayal from Palestine decided that they're ready to act as crew. So they were trained in the first 2 hours of the trip that they were going to navigate the boat during the night while George sleeps. Everybody filled their shoes much more than anybody would expect. The media people would act as camera people for each other. They would share their communication equipment. Everybody we had a full-fledged satellite IP communication system on board that people shared in very understanding, and nobody hogged the bandwidth as we usually do. Karen and Kit took over the resources of the boat that they were not familiar with. It was not them who prepared it, managed to find where everything is and prepare everything, the conditions for life for the next couple of days for the rest of us. It was really a model of cooperation, of self-sacrifice in a way that made it possible. And the Tahrir sailed in a straight line to Gaza for 1.5 days. In the night of the 3rd, we said, if we continue on this speed, we will enter the Israeli self-declared blockade zone in the middle of the night, and that's not advisable. And that's one of the, when the Mavi was attacked in the middle of the night, it was one of the reasons, in my opinion, that the situation got so out of hand, because the panic that it creates of a night attack is very different than being approached during the day. And it was the stupid, whether on purpose or by chance, decision by the Israelis that did cause that. We decided to avoid that. Everybody who was on the Tahrir in the summer had been trained about self-control, nonviolent confrontation, about non-provocative actions, and this was the moment of truth that we needed to show that we really could do it and not put anybody in danger. We decided, we communicated with the Saoirse, the Irish boat. We agreed that both of us will slow down to a slow enough speed that we will not get to the 50 nautical miles zone, 100 nautical miles zone within the night, but we will only enter it at 8, 9 in the morning, and that was what we did. The morning broke, we were still going up to 11 o'clock at noon. We were still going, no sign of being stopped, no sign of Israeli Navy, to the extent that some people started thinking, well, maybe we're going to make it, maybe they're going to let us through this time. But at the end of the day, no, long before the end of the day, within an hour, our communication started to become glitchy, and we started to lose connections, and then we started seeing big Israeli vessels or big vessels on the radar, and it was clear that we're being surrounded by 11 or so different size pieces of the Israeli Navy, and they came to us. And maybe I will pause here and I will show you a video of that encounter.